Okay, so not a great start. It's Groundhog Day. Juve are sacking a manager mid-season for the second season in a row, sacking the guy who replaced the last guy and are looking to start over again. Igor Tudor is gone. It looks like Spalletti is in. Not confirmed as of the time of recording this. Now, of course, Spalletti is a great coach, but there's an overarching feeling of frustration amongst Juve supporters due to the constant upheavals they have seen. Starting over with Motta, then again with Tudor, and now someone completely different in Spalletti is coming in. I mean, if you go further back, after Allegri's first stint as a manager came to an end in 2019, they went from Sarri to Pirlo, back to Allegri, to Motta, to Tudor, to Spalletti now. 6 changes from 2019 to 2025. Hey, I'm Adrian, by the way. Thanks for joining me here. And so whether you liked Tudor or not, you can understand why supporters are frustrated. Igor Tudor was the guy who came in after Thiago Motta and brought stability to the club. For last season at least. Of course, he's a former player. He played for Juve for a long time. Injured through a lot of it, yes, but he was there all the same and was someone who understood and respected the club. When he took over in March of 2025, Juve was out of the Coppa Italia, out of the Champions League, and were in 5th in the league. With 5 wins, 3 draws, and a loss, he helped Juve pip Roma to the final Champions League spot by a single point. Was the football fantastic? No. I mean, it wasn't get you out of your seat football by any means, but he did what was asked of him for the previous season, and because of that, he was rewarded with a contract. And I think most Juventini were okay at the time with that decision, given what they had seen from Juve to close out the season. The thinking being, give him even more time and maybe he can take Juve back to where they need to be. Maybe. However, there was also a vocal minority that didn't want to, fall for the trap of signing on a caretaker manager to a long-term contract. Tudor has done some decent things in Serie A and with Marseille, but his style of football wasn't seen as up to snuff for the kind of expectations of playing style and given the kind of talent that he has at his disposal at Juve. Perfect for a mid-table side that's fighting to be, a headache team for the top teams, but unbecoming of a side like Juve who aspires to get back to winning titles. He's a great 5 through 8th team kind of manager. He can help them to overachieve in some cases, but when he's at a big club like this, I don't know if he's a fit. Well, the Club World Cup was all right. The start of the season was pretty good up until the Derby d'Italia win over Inter Milan. That was fantastic. But after that, things fell off dramatically, near historically even. Winless in 8 matches. The first time that Juve have struggled to win a match for that period of time since 2009. No goal scored in 4 consecutive matches, which hasn't happened since 1991. And this comes after bringing in some decent attackers, such as Jonathan David, Openda, Idan Zugrova. The attack was just something that he couldn't get up and running. I mean, it wasn't helped by the attackers being out of form, namely Jonathan David, my guy, but horrible form, putrid. Unfortunately, it's a results business, and that was the end of the road for Igor Tudor, with a statement on October 27th reading, Juventus Football Club announces that it has today relieved Igor Tudor of his duties as head coach of the men's first team, along with his staff consisting of Ivan Javorcic, Tomislav Rogic, and Riccardo Ragnacci. The club also announces that it has temporarily entrusted the men's first team to Massimo Brambilla, who will be on the bench for the Juventus-Udinese match on Wednesday evening. The club thanks Igor Tudor and his entire staff for their professionalism and dedication over the past few months and wishes them all the best for their future careers. So of course, immediately names were thrown all throughout the media, and we'll get to those in a moment, but there was an undeniable feeling of supporters being frustrated with John Elkann and how he has been running the club since Andrea Agnelli stepped down. It's what I was speaking about, with supporters being upset about the constant chopping and changing of leadership, constantly putting Juve behind in their plans, never able to even start their plans or get into them really, never able to get a foothold. So on the one hand, they feel for Igor Tudor, but they feel for him because they believe that the board never maybe should have given him the full-time position in the first place, right? So the frustration goes to Elkann and the board there. With this in mind, following the announcement of Tudor's sacking, some Juve ultras left a banner outside of the Allianz Stadium that read, "Tudor, one of us, the fish always stinks from its head." No, they're not talking about stinky head Tudor. This is, of course, a shot at Elkan and the management of the club, who, again, they highlight as the problem, as the decision makers. I mean, it's hard to argue with that, isn't it? So then, names started floating around, getting thrown around, really, for Juventus, the next manager, with the most prominent three being Roberto Mancini, Raffaele Palladino, and Uomini Forti, Destini Forti himself, Luciano Spalletti.
Non c'è altra strada.
Now, Spalletti had always had supporters in Serie A for the way that his teams played football. An attractive brand of football that led to Spalletti being an almost man for his entire career in Serie A. He won the Coppa Italia 2 years in a row with Roma, but couldn't nail down Serie A until that iconic team of 22-23 happened with Napoli. From there, you saw the respect for Spalletti as a coach grow even further. Napoli didn't just win the league, but they won it in style. It was the perfect synthesis of style and substance in that team. So Spalletti endeared himself so much to the people of Naples, not just for his sporting accomplishments, but for what he did following it as well. Sure, major disappointment that he left the team after winning the league, and Napoli suffered in the direct aftermath. But the way that he spoke of the club and the city, his reverence for them. Oh, and remember this? Yeah, dude, that's interesting. Imagine you're a Juve player, Spalletti's running training, and you see that on his arm. He's only going to wear long sleeves from now on, I bet. Like, differences in artistic taste aside, that's not a tattoo I would get. Interesting, to say the least. And we're jumping ahead a bit here. But here's what Spalletti said on the podcast C'è Tempo, C'è Fa in March of 2025. You ready for this one? Quote, "I wanted to save Napoli for last, for specific reasons. Of course, I could never have coached another team in Italy. When you've been in that context, experienced matches as a coach, and worn Maradona's shirt, it becomes difficult to return as an opponent." So now the tattoo makes sense. Now, I get it. I get it. Coaches say all kinds of things to sound romantic, sort of like politicians, in order to butter up the fan base of the team that they did something special at. And I don't doubt his love for Napoli at all. That's not the thing that I think is funny. But how he did the whole, I could never coach another team in Italy shtick, coupled with the Napoli tattoo, it just, with the current context, it makes your eyes roll a bit, no? And if that doesn't, then with all of the speculation linking him to the Juve job, what he said recently at a Ramazzotti event, that's an Italian liqueur, surely will make your eyes roll a little bit, as he said, quote, "I feel well, I wait with serenity. I have the ambition to set things right. I can only speak highly of Tudor, a serious and passionate person. Whoever will replace him will be lucky because he'll find a well-trained team." So from saving Napoli for last to wanting to set things right in Italy and saying anyone who takes Juve's job would be, look, I don't know. I just don't like it when coaches make these grand love-bombing gestures because they always have to eat their words after. Like Mourinho going to Tottenham, With these grand gestures, if you can't keep your word, you're just setting yourself up to trip yourself up. You trip yourself up and you eat away at your own credibility. How am I supposed to believe anything that you say going forward? I will not take anything you say very sincerely. And you know what? If he's very successful and brings glory back to Juventus, then I'm sure all of this will be forgotten. It will be sort of a who cares moment. It will be lost in history, right? Now, longtime watchers of the channel will know that when Spalletti took over the Italian national team job, I was very nervous for him. Spalletti's teams play very beautiful football, but in my opinion, the kind of training ground time that his football necessitates just isn't possible with a national team. Not in a short span of time, at least. That's my opinion. I know some people disagree with that, but the complexities and the automations within his tactics, in my eyes, make him not really a fit for national team football, where you have just over a week or so with a team at a time every 30 days. After an uninspiring Euro 2024 where Italy could only defeat Albania, they looked decent in the Nations League, fell to Germany in the final phase of the Nations League, or whatever you want to call it, got smoked 3-0 by Norway, and then did defeat Moldova, but after losing to Norway, Spalletti and Italy parted ways by mutual consent, though it was agreed he would still see through the Moldova match. Which, by the way, Italy were terrible, conceding 18 shots. They looked really bad under Spalletti. In competitive matches, he had 9 wins, 5 draws, and 6 losses. That mutual consent announcement was largely for Spalletti to save some face. He was kind of forced into it, right? So his reputation, or at least his pride, definitely took a hit following that job. Now his quotes from a few days ago make sense, right? Remember he said, "I have the ambition to set things right." Now, I am a fan of Spalletti. I love the way his club teams play football, but I do wonder why they didn't go for him in the summer, Juve that is. Tudor was handed a 3-year contract extension, 3 years, on June 13th. I wonder why they didn't allow Tudor to take Juve through the Club World Cup and then, knowing Spalletti was available, send him an offer. I guess the Tudor aura was very strong at the time, or was there something that caused them to not believe Spalletti was a suitable choice? And if not then, why now? Juve really do need some rebuilding. When we talk about performance at the moment and the roller coaster of the last few years, this is a team that really needs rebuilding, and to do that, they need stability. And to have stability, you need to stick with someone. Until you have a manager that you're going to stick with, then you should just forget about recruitment, because you will be buying players in the vision of one manager that won't be around in 8 months, then for the next manager that won't be around in, 2-3 months, rinse and repeat. The problem is, the supporters have no faith that the board will stick with somebody. Spalletti has shown that his systems can be successful in Italy now, but Juventus has shown that they are not willing to give these managers time to swim. They sink them at the first sign of sinking. So I like this signing of Spalletti as a neutral, but I do hope that he is given the time to implement his playing style and that he is backed in the transfer market and has a great say in things. Because look, say what you will about Sir Jim Ratcliffe of Man United, but through an absolute monsoon of bad results under Ruben Amorim, he has continued to back him and believe in him, and maybe, just maybe, things are turning around there, maybe? Anyways, that's my quick take on the Juve and Spalletti situation. I thank you guys for watching as per usual, and hey, if you're new, then why not stick around? We have a Bayern video coming, then a Celtic video coming next week. What? It's a mystery where we will go from there, right? All right, take care, guys.